Good evening. So, it seems as though something has led you to the campsite of the Orator. Well, as you can see, I've stoked the fire, which means it's time for you to pull up your chair and settle in, because tonight, I have another tale to tell. You know, camping can be so much fun. In our world today, you're constantly bombarded by noise pollution and light pollution, social media, just this constant barrage of activity. And every once in a while, your body, you could use a reset. So, you know, as a camper, you go out in the middle of the woods and you're away from it all. You get to see the beautiful stars, you hear the sounds of the forest. It really can be an awesome and enchanting time. But there is a darker half to camping, especially alone. Because how do you handle it when you are in the middle of the woods, surrounded by miles of nothing but forest? The sun has gone down, it is now pitch black, and yet all around you, surrounding you on all sides, eyes begin to appear in the dark. But before we begin, if you found yourself enjoying this kind of content, first-hand true accounts of the supernatural, paranormal things that go bump in the night, then allow the spirits to guide your planchette to both the like and subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you get notified every time I upload new content, which is every single day. I upload shorts all 7 days of the week, and then I upload long-form content both Monday and Friday, all at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Second, of course, all of my stories, as I mentioned, are true first-hand accounts of the supernatural and paranormal. Today's story comes from us from Redditor Potential Ad 697, and I will make sure to link his story below. But if you or anybody you know has a story and you think that it would fit well on my channel, just reach out to me on any of my social media and we'll find a time to get together, collect your story, and potentially one day feature it here on The Orator. And now, with all of that out of the way, let's get on to today's tale. It is a story that I call Owl Hollow. So it's October of 2024. Gary is kind of in this mode where he wants to get away from everything. He is an avid outdoorsman. He travels and camps all over, not just the country, but the world. And right now he lives in Oregon, and he is just bombarded by everything of his daily life. His job is getting, too intense, and he's just got all of this stress, and he just thinks, if I could just get away for the weekend, do a little bit of camping on my own in the middle of the woods, I could clear my head and come back on Monday totally focused and ready to take on all of these tasks that I have. And so as the weekend approaches, Gary does everything he needs to do to prepare for a trip. He gets all of his camping supplies ready, and like I said, he's an avid outdoorsman, so he has all of the supplies he needs already ready. He gets it all packed and put in his truck. He is super excited about this, and then he goes about scouting areas to camp in. Now Gary, like I said, he's an avid camper. He's camped everywhere, but one of the things he loves to do is find new and very secluded camping spots. He really likes to be out in nature. He doesn't like to go to a pre-designed camp space and kind of do that. He likes to rough it in the woods, and he's been doing it for a long time, and he knows how to handle himself. And so, in addition to packing all of the normal forestry stuff, he knows he's going to be going out into the woods, and so he makes sure to pack things like bear mace and a gun, things like that. And so he has his entire supply ready, and he starts looking around for these new spaces, and he finally finds this really secluded place. The place is called Owl Hollow, and honestly, you can't even find it on a map. I mean, this place is in the middle of nowhere. If you go into Oregon, there's this place called Mount Hood, and all around Mount Hood, I'm talking miles and miles, is just forest and forest and forest. There is nothing out there but woods. And he finds this small place, and on Saturday morning, he decides to make his way out. So he drives out to the spot, parks his truck, and he starts heading into the woods. And for the first few hours, this is exactly what Gary wanted. He's hiking through the woods. He's got his pack on his back. He's enjoying the sunshine. He's listening to all of the birds and the forest life around him. He's got a great trail he's going on. He's got his compass and making sure he's headed in the right direction. This is exactly what he came here to do. And as he's hiking through the woods, all of a sudden, off on the side, like in the high grass and the tall trees and everything like that, barely even visible, Gary sees this like set of eyes. And, you know, like I said, he's such an avid outdoorsman. He knows animals. He knows what they look like. They're far enough away and well enough hidden that all he can really see are the eyes, but he can tell they're not animal eyes. They look like human eyes watching him from deep in the forest. And so he stops and he's looking at it for a second. They're not moving. They're not blinking. They're just staring right at him. And it's just this really eerie feeling, and it's really bizarre. And he's watching it for a minute, and this thing is not moving. And so with no better options, really, Gary just starts walking again down this trail. And then around 3 o'clock, as he is still hiking into the woods, he's been going for quite a while now, he all of a sudden up ahead sees a couple hiking toward him. Now, he's in the middle of nowhere, right? Like I said, this is not like a designated camping zone or anything like that. He is just in the middle of national forest. And so there should not be anybody else out here at all. But if he was going to run into somebody out here, the likelihood of it being another camper or something like that is almost 100%. Like, nobody else would be out here for any other reason other than to maybe camp or hunting season, something like that. But the people that are approaching him, it's a man and a woman, and they're dressed in like these old-looking clothes. You know, Gary said they were kind of stiff and looked like either they were handmade or like they were from the 1800s or something like that, made out of really rough wool and coarse material, and they just didn't look like they were regular people hiking. Something seemed very off about them. But, you know, Gary, he just kind of smiles and nods as he's passing on the trail. And part of him wants to like ask them, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? Are you good? Because they're not dressed or outfitted for camping or hiking at all. They're just in these clothes. They don't have any packs on their backs. They don't seem to have the proper footwear. I mean, nothing about what they look like makes any sense. But Gary also simultaneously kind of gets this weird sense for them. His mouth goes dry, his hair kind of stands up on end, and he just decides he's not going to talk to these people. He's just going to kind of politely pass them by. And as he's walking by them, and they by him, they suddenly turn their heads and tilt them to the side, and they give Gary this crazy smile. It stretches way further beyond anything a human smile could possibly do. And as these smiles start peeling across their face, their eyes turn jet black. And remember, this is the middle of the day. Gary is standing not 2 feet from them. They're right there. This is not some trick of the light or he was too far away and couldn't see. They're right next to him. And they have these crazy grins that basically stretch all the way to their ears. And their eyes are black as night. And Gary, it's like everything in him is telling him to run, to scream, to get away from whatever this is. But this couple, they smile and look at him, but they continue to walk past him. And so Gary, I mean, he's terrified. He's terrified. He said he literally thought he was going to relieve himself right there on the trail. That's how scared he is. And he's a grown adult who's done hikes and in the woods thousands of times. And it's like, this is surreal and insane, and he's miles away from anything, and he can't believe what he just saw. But with no better option, Gary just sort of continues along the trail. And at this point, sweat is starting to pour down his head, and it's not from the heat or the sun or anything like that, not from the exertion. It is from pure terror. And there's a part of Gary that wants to somehow turn around and make it back to his truck, but the truth is, there's like kind of one trail in this forest, and he's so scared of somehow turning back and running back into them. At the very least, they're headed in the opposite direction as him, and really Gary's thinking, I want to get as far away from these people as I can. And so not only does he start walking faster in that direction, but as he's going, it's like his sense of unease is getting higher and higher and higher. And he can't take it. It's like the fear gets too palpable and he breaks and just starts running. Like he is that scared. And at some point he finally makes it into this area that he wants to camp in, and evening is starting to fall. And at this point he's assembling his tent. And as he is assembling his tent, he's shaking. Like he is that scared, even though it's been quite a while now since he's seen these people. But he eventually gets his entire campsite set up, and now he's like, all right, at least I got my campsite. And he pulls out his gun, and he sits down, and he's just trying to sit and enjoy the campfire for the night that he's out there. And so, Gary, he's got his campfire, and he built it up quite a bit to get quite a bit of light, and he's got his tent set up, and now he's just sitting there, and he's eating his dinner, and now the sun is going down, and it's getting darker and darker, and it's like this sense of unease is just worsening. Because even though he hasn't seen those people for hours and nothing else is really happening, there's just this feeling in the forest like something bad is going to happen. But Gary's sitting there, he's got his gun, and he's just sitting there, waiting. And then as night fully descends, and now it's completely dark around him, as he's sitting there, all of a sudden, he can see a set of eyes out in the woods. And it's dark, but they're definitely there. And then slowly, as his eyes are adjusting to the dark, he's looking away from the campfire and kind of seeing if his eyes can adjust. He's seeing more and more and more. Everywhere he looks, there are eyes peeking out at him from the forest. And he's sitting there with his gun, and he's looking at all of them, waiting to see, are they going to advance? Am I going to get attacked? Like, is this a crazy cult of people? And how can I possibly explain those wicked smiles on those people's faces and their black eyes? And now I'm seeing all of these eyes peer out from all over the place. And as his eyes are adjusting, he's not just seeing the eyes, he's starting to see the faces of all these people with their crazy smiles all around him in the woods. And all of a sudden, it's too much for Gary. He stands up, he shoots his gun twice in the air to scare them and warn them. And as he's doing it, he's watching. And none of them flinch or blink or anything. They are not terrified of this at all. And so Gary, this is the last piece for him. He grabs his pack, he slings it over his shoulder, and he turns and runs. He forgets everything else. He leaves his fire going, he leaves his tent out in the woods with all the supplies that are still in his tent. All he has is his pack and his gun, and that's it. That's all he's got. And he's just running as fast as he can through the forest. And he said the next couple hours were honestly like a blur. He doesn't remember making it to his truck. He doesn't even remember making it all the way home. He doesn't remember getting inside. His next clear memory from all of the exertion and stress and adrenaline is when he was finally calmed down a little bit on his couch at home. He's sitting there, totally dark in the living room, right? It's now the middle of the night, because he laughed and came all the way home. And he's just sitting there, all the lights off in the dark, gun still in his hand, just terrified, wondering, are these things going to come for me? Did I really see what I just saw? Am I going crazy? Like, what could have possibly just happened? And here we are months later, and Gary's favorite activity is still going out and camping. But he said, not just him, but he wants to send a stern warning to anybody: never go camp in Owl Hollow. And so that's going to do it for today's story. If you found yourself enjoying this or any of the stories on my channel, first-hand, true accounts of the supernatural, paranormal, things that go bump in the night, then allow the spirits to guide your planchette to both the like and subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you get notified every time I upload new content, which is every single day. I do shorts all 7 days of the week, and then I upload long videos on Monday and Friday, and all of that happens at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Second, like I said, all of my stories, they're true first-hand accounts of the supernatural and paranormal. So I'm always looking for brand new stories to put on my channel. So if you or maybe somebody you know has a story that you think would fit really well here, just reach out to me on any of my social media. Say, hey, I have a story that you might like, and we'll collect it and potentially one day feature it here on The Orator. And so until next time, where you may pull up your chair. You will see that the fire is stoked, and I will have another tale to tell.